You know, living near Disney has a lot of pros and cons. When I first moved down, I was thinking to myself, oh, I'll probably go to Disney, twice, 3 times a week, not that frequently. A lot of my friends knew right away, Michael, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, not one bit. And there's a lot to love. But today I wanted to talk about a topic that a lot of friends have asked me about. What are the pros and cons of moving near the magic? And I think it's a very fair question. I really do. First and foremost, big pro, you get to be around the magic frequently. And you get to experience things that you might have missed before. Like, you go to the parks and you enjoy it. And I remember I would travel as a, vacationer, and I'd enjoy it. It was so much fun. And you get to experience things in a certain way, and then you go home. And you're like, that was so much fun, but I kind of missed some stuff. A couple things that I missed there. When you live here, it's different. Because if you didn't get to a thing, do it the next day, or a week from now, or a month from now. So that's a cool thing. It's a cool thing. It's a lot of fun. It's something that I really like. But there's something I've noticed, something very interesting, where you end up saying to yourself, I'll get around to it, and then around doesn't come as fast as you might think. It takes longer to get to things. Now, that's not a negative per se. It's just one of those things to be aware of, right? So it's like, well, we have to make sure we get to it at some point. Don't let it become a chore, though. For me, it hasn't, but I know the feeling, right? It could become that if you let it. You got to be careful. So just remember that everything in life is an experience. That's what it's about. So that's my first thought on, living near the magic. Another piece that you're going to fall into is you end up going, and you know me, I'm a big Disney fan. I go all the time, and I love it every single time. There's nothing I don't love, but you end up changing how you experience the magic. For example, I've been getting more into golfing. Absolutely love it. And that love of golf has started to connect with my love of Disney. So you end up doing Disney golf. And it's those kind of things that I really don't think I'd be experiencing if I didn't live here. Personally, I would probably still enjoy golf, but would I have the time during a Disney vacation to go and play golf? It's a good question, but it's one of those off the beaten track kind of things that you get to do that you may not have had time for before because you want to prioritize the rides and the restaurants and the parks. That's the short answer. But it's one of those things that I really like and have learned to appreciate. Now, on that same note, you also have the opportunity to experience other areas of Florida and Central Florida that you wouldn't have had time for either. So it comes down to making time, whether it's Gatorland or Legoland or Desertland, all lands. They're all amazing places that Disney's, don't get me wrong, love it, but you have the opportunity to expand and see more because you have more time. It's something really, really cool. Now, there is a change that I think I mentioned to a friend. We talked about this topic, which kind of brought it up to me. One of the things that I noticed when I came down here was the cost of living was much lower. Much lower. For most, because I came from D.C., Washington, D.C., very expensive cost of living. For most, it's actually going to be the opposite, as far as I understand it. I've been told this. I haven't lived in some of the places I've been told, but it's more expensive here in some areas. That being said, there is a wide variety of areas to live. Some further, some closer, and that can definitely change things up. So it can vary based on where you're coming from as well. I just want to kind of point that out. It was told to me. I just wanted to make sure I brought it up to you. Another piece, traffic. I gotta talk about it. If you're thinking about Central Florida, you're thinking about near Disney, you gotta think about traffic, because traffic is no joke. I-4, we get a lot of jokes about it. Oh, it's crowded. It is intense. It is intensely crowded. And I come from the 495, 270 corridor in Washington, D.C., which is known for a lot of traffic. I will even say that this is a lot of traffic. Now, not right next to Disney, but areas of I-4, right? So it's I-4 is basically the main highway that takes you all around this area. So just know, especially rush hour times, but even other times, which seems odd, but that's because it's huge vacation capital, so it makes a lot of sense. So traffic should be a thing to consider. Something else I've noticed in myself, this is a me thing, I don't stay as often for the fireworks. And I was thinking to myself, I kind of want to change this, but at the same time, I want to make it special. And there is a point where the specialness, the illuminations, is one that I could watch and I've seen hundreds of times, and I loved it. That never got old. You want to make sure that you don't go too frequently to certain things, so that they become too well known to you. It's just the truth. I just want to tell you about that, because you see a thing a certain number of times, you start to look for other things to experience while you're experiencing those things. There are two good examples I can give. First, the people mover. People mover doesn't get old to me. And you say to yourself, Michael, that's the first thing that might get old to me. It's not to me anyway. It actually stays really fresh for a long time, just because you're always seeing new things, seeing new people. Just, it's fun. That one never gets old. By comparison, when you go on, you're seeing, I guess the fireworks show is not the best example of this. What's a better example of something that, you see a lot of, I think, no, not Philhar Magic. I was thinking about Philhar Magic, but it's changing now, right? There's some things that I can't think of a specific example, because there are they're not new components. Carousel of Progress, you might be thinking of, it's not, because you're seeing new pieces of the show. I love that show. It's not that, it's other things, but you end up experiencing it over and over and over again, and you say to yourself, okay, I'm looking for something new when I go. It's a good example. I'll think of something at some point, but I guess Mission Space went on that one the other day, and it's like, yeah, that one has to be spaced out. It does, just a bit. But there are certain things you're going to see that are like that. Just important to know. Now, I lived in a touristy area, right? Washington, D.C. Tourism, huge there. So I'm very used to living in a tourist area. I love it. I really do. You have to know yourself. Is that something that you want for you? Because if you don't, you need to know that now. If you're thinking about the Central Florida area. If you do, and you do, that's great. If you have lived in a tourist area before, and you know it's what you like, it's going to be easy for you. It's an easy decision. But if you haven't, test it out, because there are differences. One of the big advantages of living in a touristy area is there's so much to do. There's constantly so much to do. I go and I visit a friend in another state, and it's, there's not really a tourist destination, and it's like, okay, so what are we doing now? It's like, oh yeah, we can go to the mall. What else can we do? Movie theater? Okay, what else? There's other things, of course, but it's just one of those things where when you live in a touristy area, there's always something new to do. You name it, they're going to have it. A new restaurant, a new experience, there's something. So just something to be aware of. If you've never lived in a touristy area before, just be prepared for all that. Let's talk about the weather, because this is another big one. Came from Washington, D.C., so for me, I'm used to seasons. Do I feel like I am missing on any of the seasons? No, I don't. However, there are going to be moments where, if you're thinking about it, you say to yourself, okay, I miss the snow. I miss the winter. I miss, in the fall wearing a jacket. If that's you think about that, because I have heard from friends who said, oh, I miss the snow so much. I miss the winter feeling so much. And this is actually a funny thing I've observed. Tell me if I'm alone here if you live in Central Florida. We celebrate, especially near Disney, we celebrate Halloween, August, September. By the time October rolls around, we're like, okay, we're ready for the holidays. Where's the Christmas stuff? That's just how it is. And it's because we start celebrating in August. So maybe that's just me, let me know. But it's one of those things that you kind of have to get used to. It takes a minute. Now, that being said, there are some very hot months in Florida. I don't think anyone can deny it. Actually, before I get back to that, so again, touristy areas, right? This is constant. Helicopters flying around, showing the tourists different things. If you're okay with that, it's great. If that's something that might bother you, just be aware of it. Now let's go back to the heat. It gets really hot. No way to better describe that. I wish I had a solution for that. I've tried a lot of things. There's fans around the neck, wearing the towel, keeping one with you. The real key is to kind of let your body adjust and hydrate. That's it. That's really the key to it. If you're the kind of person that really loves the heat in summer and beach time, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. But if not, you're like, oh, I'd rather have the winter and colder. Something to be considering. Just something to be considering. On that note, the sun is stronger in Central Florida. It's just stronger. All right. So if you suntan in Washington, D.C., as an example, and you're sitting out there for 3 hours with no sunscreen, depending on the month, more often than not, you're not going to get burned. Not really. Maybe a little. Not really. It doesn't get that bad, right? Here, if you walk, this is me, okay? If you walk out for 30 minutes in the wrong kind of sun in Florida with no sunscreen, you will burn, and it will not be fun. It's just not fun. So just be aware of that. I recommend certain sunscreens that, you know, the sprays don't work for me as well as the actual lotion. So it's just something to be aware of. It's one of those things that, again, takes time. It takes time to get used to when you live in the area. Just one of those things I want to share with you. There's even more. That's kind of the top of my thoughts when it comes to living in Central Florida. If you're thinking about it, there are a lot of things that I love, absolutely love about living in Central Florida, and other things that, you know, it's like, oh, I wish I could change this, but with everything, that's everything in life. That's just how it works. So, and let me know if you're thinking about it, if you live in Central Florida, in the comments below what you love about it, what you're like dreaming of for the future. Love to hear from you. Thanks as always for sharing in the magic with me. Love sharing it with you. Until next time, have a magical day.